o'clock to 9:30 every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of the week. Now this building to our right is involved in a very popular movie. Well, not that popular. It's just, no, I'm trying to remember the name. Oh, just Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That's where his dad worked, in that building right there. I'm gonna let y'all take the pictures of this part of the park. What you'll soon notice as we come up past this bridge to our right is a big steel box. That is the projector for Art on the Mark, which is taking place on a Merchandise Mart right here. Right there is the projector box right there.
Dice que esa caja de metal es el proyector de las imágenes. Ahí de ahí proyecta.
You might also notice, if you can really see them, those floating grass gardens right there. Now those aren't just there for beauty and aesthetics, those are also what we like to call fish hotels. See, back in the 1970s, we realized that we had lost many of our native fish here in Chicago. We only had about 7 swimming down in this river. So, using natural breeding locations as well as feeding and hiding spots, we have allowed up to 6 species of fish in Chicago to return to this river. You'll see a lot of people on canoes, speedboats, and their own personal boats going down this river. Everything is allowed on this river, excluding swimming. Swimming is actually illegal on the Chicago River. It was illegal for 70 years up until about April, when they allowed a race to happen on the river. Now you'll notice this big building with the weird balconies right there. You can see the glowing warmth from the inside coming out from it. That is also an example of contextualism. That is 111 West Wacker. That building right there is working in conversation with the building to the right and the left of it. So you'll notice that this building has these 2 or lower sections right here, matching that balcony. This one matches the top of that building right there, and that very top balcony right there matches pool 77. Now, America very much was impacted by prohibition, and Chicago is not the only one to experience this, but it's certainly like to act like it. Like any artists, architects were getting frustrated about how repressed they were and not having any drinks. Chicagoans love their alcohol, as you will notice here to our right. So, in order to adjust for that, we built the Carbon and Carbide building. It's hard to see its green facade right now, but it is built to match a champagne bottle. It's got that glowing gold light up there. That tip is entirely made of 24-karat gold. Up on top of that bar, up on top of that building is a bar, Chateau Carbide. It was a speakeasy during the 1920s and early 1930s. And there is a rumor I intend to keep going, that Al Capone operated that bar. Now, I cannot confirm nor deny it, but I will say that if you want to learn more about it, I highly recommend Chicago's Gangster and Mob Tours. Now, Chicago's Riverwalk is home to many a restaurant and recreational activity. If you haven't done so already, please take advantage of it. It's what Daniel Burnham would have wanted for you. Now you'll notice London House right there in front of us. That building to its left is also an extension of the London House Hotel. That building right there was part of the original Chicago skyline. They had a bar in front of it called London House. It was so popular, in fact, that whenever they turned this building into a hotel and built this nice glass reflective building right here, they named the entire hotel off of it.
Habla del building que dice London House, dice que es un hotel. En la parte de arriba hay lo que le llaman un rooftop, o arriba del techo tienen un restaurante, bar. Allá hasta arriba, donde se ven las luces.
Very quickly, you'll notice its logo right there. It's hard to miss. It's the love of my life. The Chicago Tribune Tower, built in 1925. This building is the most important building in the city because it is my favorite building. But it's also the most beautiful building in the world, according to the Chicago Tribune when it was built. They put out a contest asking for submissions for a design for the most beautiful building in the world. Now, two architect friends got together and cooked up a brilliant neoclassical style and neo-Gothic style building. Now, you'll notice the neo-Gothic motifs with those giant buttresses right up there. This was the headquarters for the famous Chicago Tribune up until about 2016. It was turned into a multi-use commercial building and hotel. Now I do love that building. It is the love of my life. Our love is forbidden, but I do get to see her on weekends. Now we're getting a good look at the NBC Tower here in Chicago. You'll see that peacock logo peeking out right there. It looks an awful lot like 30 Rockefeller in New York. Intentional. It is about half the size of 30 Rockefeller. And it is deco. Unlike 30 Rockefeller, which is meant to emulate aesthetics, that's why we like to call it Eco Deco. It looks a lot like Art Deco, but not quite. What also makes it not quite as though it was built in 1990.
Y lo otro es la
Now, as we come up closer to the mouth of the river, you'll start to see a lot of these buildings have a lot of air between them. The city permit buildings being built too close to each other. Unlike New York City, we like having a lot of air between our skyscrapers. Our skyline is intentionally designed. When you have a design for a skyscraper, it has to be approved, not just for the sake of building it, but for the sake of the aesthetics of the view line from the lake and from all surrounding areas. And one of those design rules that we have is, of course, leaving a lot of air around, not only for the sake of the buildings around it, but also for making sure there are plazas and pedestrian walkways around. In Chicago, we love having a lot of space around our buildings. Now, I've talked a lot about these bridges, but I want to talk a little bit more about them. Chicago has the second largest amount of raising drawbridges in the world, out of any city, only being beat now barely by Amsterdam. By barely, I mean it's good. Which is where you started. It's an extension of the original Daniel Barnum plan. He wanted two piers on both sides. One on the left, one on the right.